Picture this. Professional divers descend 300 feet into the Baltic Sea with cutting-edge electronic equipment, and within minutes of approaching a massive 180-foot structure, every device starts failing. Cameras fill with static, compasses spin erratically, communication systems cut out, and seasoned professionals start documenting something that they've never encountered before. Welcome to Arnie's Brain Train. I'm Alex Arnold, and I'll be your conductor, where today we're diving into something genuinely bizarre. I'm not claiming this is aliens or ancient astronauts having a garage sale or anything like that. I'm just presenting research facts from marine archaeologists, geologists, electromagnetic specialists, and the dive teams who discovered this structure. Every source is listed in the description below. Now, if you need everything wrapped up with a neat bow, or hate unexplained phenomena, or get upset by AI thumbnails, there are plenty of other channels for that. This isn't it. For everyone else ready to explore something that might challenge what we think we know, let's go ahead and dive in. Here we go. In June 2011, the Swedish treasure hunting team Ocean X was doing what they do best, scouring the Baltic Sea floor for shipwrecks and valuable artifacts. Led by Peter Lindberg and Dennis Asberg, these weren't your typical weekend divers. These were seasoned professionals with decades of experience pulling million-dollar discoveries from the depths. But on this particular expedition, their sonar equipment picked up something that would launch numerous theories, divide the scientific community, and earn a reputation as one of the ocean's most notable electronics disruptors. At a depth of 300 feet, sitting on the seabed like it had been placed there, was a circular formation measuring exactly 180 feet in diameter. The sonar images were crystal clear. Too clear, actually. This wasn't just a random geological formation or an ancient shipwreck. The object displayed perfect geometric precision, with what appeared to be a ramp leading up to its base and strange angular features that looked almost architectural. Peter Lindberg later described the moment that they first saw the sonar readings. It was unlike anything we'd seen before. The shape was too perfect, too deliberate. Natural formations just don't look like this. But the team's initial interest quickly turned to confusion when they realized that they had discovered something that seemed to interfere with modern technology. When Ocean X returned to the site in 2012 with a full diving expedition, something unusual happened that would change how we think about this discovery. Every piece of electronic equipment that they brought began failing in systematic ways. Professional-grade diving equipment that had worked reliably for years suddenly became unreliable within a specific radius of the structure. Cameras malfunctioned, producing images with static and distortion. Communication systems between divers and the surface team experienced interruptions, cutting out when divers approached the 180-foot structure. Compasses spun erratically, unable to find magnetic north near the formation. But perhaps the most notable detail came from the divers themselves. Multiple team members reported experiencing a tingling sensation when approaching the 180-foot structure, similar to walking through an electrical field. These were seasoned professionals who had made hundreds of successful dives without encountering anything that could affect their equipment in this way. According to marine archaeologist and Ocean X team member Stefan Hogeborn, in 30 years of diving, I've never experienced anything like this. Equipment failures happen. That's part of working underwater. But not like this. Not all at once, and not in such a specific area. It's like the structure has a field around it that interferes with technology. The team consulted with electrical engineers and marine technology experts, seeking rational explanations for why their equipment was being affected near this specific location. Some suggested natural magnetic anomalies caused by iron-rich mineral deposits. Others proposed electromagnetic interference from unknown sources. But none of these theories could fully explain how a 180-foot structure could create what amounted to a zone where modern electronics consistently failed. When the Ocean X team finally managed to capture stable footage and images of the structure, using older, less sophisticated equipment that seemed more resistant to whatever was causing the electronic failures, what they documented was more complex than their sonar readings had suggested. The structure wasn't just circular. It was a multi-level formation that seemed to defy natural geological processes. The main body of the structure rises approximately 13 feet from the seabed, forming what researchers describe as a mushroom or disc-like shape, but it's the details that puzzle experts. The surface is covered in geometric patterns and markings that appear carved or etched. These aren't random scratches or natural erosion patterns. They show evidence of intentional design. Perhaps most interesting is what the team found at the base of the structure, a straight ramp or walkway leading up to the main formation. This feature has sparked debate among archaeologists and geologists. Natural processes simply don't create such precise geometric features. Dr. Volker Bruchert, a marine geologist from Stockholm University who analyzed samples from the site, made a notable observation. The composition is unlike anything we typically find in Baltic Sea geological formations. There are elements present that suggest that this structure has an origin we don't fully understand. But what's concerning is that our electronic equipment consistently malfunctions when we try to study it in detail. It's as if the structure itself resists analysis. Laboratory analysis of collected samples revealed an unusual mixture of materials. While granite and gneiss, common Baltic Sea minerals, were present, there were also higher concentrations of iron and other metals than would be expected in natural formations. Most puzzling were trace elements that suggested possible exposure to extreme heat or unusual chemical processes. The scientific community's response to the Baltic Sea structure has been divided. Researchers from multiple disciplines have proposed theories ranging from conventional to unconventional, each attempting to explain this unusual formation. Geologists initially suggested that the structure could be a glacial erratic, a massive boulder transported and deposited by ancient glaciers during the last ice age. This theory gained some traction until detailed analysis revealed that the structure's composition and geometric features were inconsistent with typical glacial deposits. Another geological hypothesis focused on volcanic activity. Some researchers proposed that the structure could be remnants of an ancient volcanic vent or lava formation. However, the Baltic Sea region has no known history of volcanic activity, and the structure's mineral composition doesn't match typical volcanic rocks. Marine biologists added another piece to the mystery. Dr. Maria Svensson from the University of Gothenburg noted something about the area surrounding the structure. The typical marine life we expect to find in Baltic Sea environments at this depth is notably absent around the structure. It's as if the area is somehow sterile. This observation led to speculation about possible toxic or radioactive properties, but extensive testing revealed no dangerous levels of radiation or harmful chemicals. The absence of marine life remains unexplained. Archaeological theories emerged when researchers began comparing the structure to ancient human constructions. Dr. Andreas Olsson, a maritime archaeologist, pointed out similarities between the structure's features and megalithic structures found across northern Europe. The geometric precision, the apparent ramp structure, the circular design, these elements are consistent with deliberate human construction, he observed. One of the most crucial questions about the Baltic Sea structure is also one of the most difficult to answer. How old is it? Dating underwater structures presents unique challenges, especially when dealing with something that doesn't fit into any known category. Traditional carbon dating methods proved largely ineffective, partially because the area around the structure has become sterile from organic material, and the structure appears to be primarily composed of mineral materials rather than organic compounds. So, scientists have turned to alternative dating techniques, including optically stimulated luminescence, OSL dating, which measures when certain minerals were last exposed to sunlight. The results were both fascinating and troubling. Preliminary OSL analysis suggested that at least the upper portions of the structure had been exposed to sunlight between 10,000 and 14,000 years ago. This time frame corresponds with the end of the last ice age, when glaciers were retreating and sea levels were rising dramatically. But here's where we start to get controversial. If the structure is indeed 10,000 to 14,000 years old, it predates known advanced human civilizations in the region by thousands of years. This timeline creates uncomfortable questions for conventional archaeology and history. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, an expert in prehistoric European cultures, explains the dilemma. If this structure is artificial and dates to the late Pleistocene epoch, we're looking at evidence of technological capabilities that shouldn't have existed. The conventional timeline of human development in Northern Europe simply doesn't account for this level of sophisticated construction. This timing would also raise intriguing possibilities about the structure's original purpose. During the period when it may have been constructed, the Baltic Sea was much smaller, and the structure's location would have been closer to dry land, or even above water entirely. This suggests that whatever created the structure did so when the environmental conditions were radically different from today. Just know that this new timing matters so much because it potentially pushes back the timeline of advanced human civilization in Europe by thousands of years. This would challenge our fundamental understanding and academia of prehistoric human capabilities. The Baltic Sea structure doesn't exist in isolation. When researchers began comparing its features to other mysterious structures around the world, startling patterns emerged that suggest we may be dealing with evidence of a much larger phenomenon. Consider Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, officially recognized as the world's oldest known temple complex at over 11,000 years old. Like the Baltic structure, Göbekli Tepe features precise circular constructions, sophisticated geometric designs, and construction techniques that seem to exceed the technological capabilities attributed to people of that era. Moving closer to the Baltic region, we find the megalithic monuments of Northern Europe. Stonehenge, the Karnak stones in France, and dozens of lesser-known circular stone arrangements scattered across the continent. All share common features with the Baltic structure: circular or geometric designs, precise construction, and purposes that remain largely mysterious. Dr. Klaus Richter, who has spent decades studying European megalithic culture, notes the troubling implications. We're seeing a pattern of sophisticated construction techniques appearing simultaneously across vast geographic regions during periods when conventional archaeology tells us human societies lack the technology and organizational capabilities for such projects. But the connections extend far beyond just construction techniques and circles. Many of these sites share another characteristic with the 180-foot Baltic mystery: unusual electromagnetic properties that systematically destroy or interfere with modern electronics. Stonehenge, for example, has long been known to affect compass readings and electronic equipment in ways remarkably similar to the Baltic Sea structure. What are the odds that ancient sites around the world would all coincidentally create similar electronics dead zones? Okay, now buckle up, because this global pattern suggests three possibilities, all of which would challenge conventional historical narratives. Either there was a prehistoric civilization with far more advanced capabilities than we've recognized, there was widespread contact and knowledge sharing between distant prehistoric peoples, or we're dealing with phenomena that operate outside our current understanding of natural processes. And of course, recent discoveries have only deepened the mystery. In 2019, marine archaeologists discovered similar circular structures off the coast of Denmark. And in 2021, sonar surveys identified potential analogous formations in the North Sea. Each discovery seems to expand rather than solve the puzzle. So now we need to talk about the implications of this Baltic Sea structure and how it challenges some of our fundamental assumptions about human history and technological development. Now, this is not comfortable territory for mainstream academia, which has invested heavily in specific timelines and theories about prehistoric human capabilities. The conventional narrative tells us that advanced construction techniques, sophisticated understandings of geometry and astronomy, and organized large-scale building projects didn't emerge in Northern Europe until well into recorded history. The Baltic structure, if artificial, throws this timeline into chaos. As I mentioned earlier, some researchers have proposed that the structure could be evidence of a lost civilization, an advanced prehistoric culture that developed sophisticated technologies before disappearing during the catastrophic environmental changes at the end of the last ice age. This theory isn't as far-fetched as it might initially sound. We know that sea levels rose dramatically, sometimes by hundreds of feet as the massive ice sheets melted. Vast coastal areas that had been inhabited for thousands of years were suddenly submerged. If advanced prehistoric civilizations existed primarily in these now underwater regions, we might expect to find exactly the kind of mysterious structures that the Baltic structure represents. Dr. Robert Skoke, a geologist who has studied similar structures worldwide, argues, we may need to fundamentally reconsider our assumptions about prehistoric human capabilities. The evidence from the Baltic Sea, combined with similar discoveries globally, suggests that our ancestors were far more sophisticated than we've given them credit for. But here's the part that makes academia uncomfortable. If we accept that prehistoric humans were capable of creating structures like the Baltic structure, we also have to accept that much of what we've been taught about human development might be incomplete or incorrect. This isn't about ancient aliens or supernatural phenomena. It's about the possibility that human ingenuity and technological development followed a more complex path than our current textbooks suggest. And for some people, that's a deeply unsettling idea. The story of the Baltic Sea structure is far from over. In recent years, new technologies and investigation techniques have provided additional data, though they've also raised new questions. Advanced 3D sonar mapping conducted in 2020 revealed previously unknown details about the structure's complexity. What was initially thought to be a simple circular formation appears to have multiple chambers or cavities within its structure. Some researchers suggest that these could be natural geological features, while others argue that they show evidence of deliberate hollow construction. Ground-penetrating radar surveys have detected what appear to be additional structures buried beneath the seabed around the main formation. These findings suggest that what we've discovered so far might represent only a small portion of a much larger complex. The electromagnetic anomalies that first made this 180-foot structure famous as an electronics killer have been studied extensively by electrical engineers and physicists, though their investigations have been hampered by the very phenomenon they're trying to study. Their equipment keeps breaking. While no definitive explanation has emerged, some researchers propose that the structure's unusual mineral composition creates natural electromagnetic fields powerful enough to interfere with modern electronics in ways that seem almost deliberately hostile to technology. Dr. Elena Kowalski, a physicist specializing in electromagnetic phenomena, explains, the combination of iron-rich minerals and the structure's geometric configuration could theoretically create localized electromagnetic effects. However, the consistency and strength of these effects, the way they systematically destroy electronics rather than just interfering with them, remain difficult to explain through natural processes alone. It's almost as if whatever created the structure understood electromagnetic fields better than we do. Recent expeditions have also focused on collecting more extensive biological samples from the area. While the immediate vicinity of the structure remains notably devoid of typical marine life, researchers have discovered unique bacterial colonies in the sediment around the structure. These microorganisms appear to be adapted to unusual chemical conditions, though their exact relationship to the structure remains unclear. International interest in the site has grown significantly. Research teams from Germany, Norway, Finland, and the United States have all conducted investigations, each bringing different technological approaches and theoretical perspectives to the mystery. So we still don't have an answer as to what this structure is, but let's pull everything together about what we actually do know about this Baltic Sea anomaly. We have a precisely geometric 180-foot diameter structure sitting 300 feet below the Baltic Sea that systematically destroys electronic equipment and compass readings within a specific radius, earning it the well-deserved nickname of the electronics killer. Its composition includes unusual mineral concentrations. Its age potentially places it in the prehistoric period when the area was above water. And it shares the electronics disrupting characteristics with mysterious ancient structures found worldwide. The implications connect to several larger questions about human history. If this structure is artificial, then it suggests that our prehistoric ancestors possessed sophisticated construction capabilities thousands of years earlier than we previously believed. If it's natural, it represents geological processes we don't fully understand operating in ways that create seemingly impossible precision. Either way, this electronics destroying mystery forces us to confront the limitations of our current knowledge. Whether we're dealing with unknown electromagnetic phenomena that can systematically kill modern technology, or evidence of advanced prehistoric civilizations that understood electromagnetic fields well enough to build structures that still affect our electronics today, this discovery highlights how much we still don't know about our own planet and our own species' history. The global pattern of similar structures suggests that this isn't an isolated mystery, but part of a larger puzzle that could fundamentally change our understanding of prehistoric human capabilities and technological development. Most importantly, the Baltic Sea structure reminds us that our planet still holds secrets waiting to be discovered, and sometimes those secrets challenge everything that we thought we knew. Well, everybody, that's it for today. This 180-foot mystery that breaks all electronics continues to challenge our assumptions about geology, archaeology, and electromagnetic science. Whatever the answer is, it just proves that our world still has the power to surprise us and humble our technological confidence. Remember, all of the sources that I used for today are listed in the description below or in the pinned comment. I encourage you to explore them and form your own conclusions. This has been Alex Arnold aboard Arnie's Brain Train, where we transform curiosity into discovery and never let conventional thinking limit our exploration of the unknown. Finally, if you want to see me improve any aspect of my videos or make my content just better overall, subscribe to the channel and help me grow. Hit that notification bell to join our curiosity crew, and let me know in the comments, what do you think lies beneath the Baltic Sea? Until next time, keep your mind open and your questions coming. And remember, the world isn't always this simple, but it's always this interesting. See you guys next time. Bye.